Good morning, team. Hope everyone's okay. How are you doing, Jamie?
I'm good. Your sound's just gone off. No, you're back in.
I'm back in.
Yeah, you're back in. Sorry, the lady was telling me that it was being recorded. So,
She was
yeah, I am very good. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad. It's definitely getting colder up north, that's for sure. Winter is slowly coming upon us. So yeah, I guess we should dive into what's coming up in this next phase of training, and what to kind of expect over this next 10 weeks. So just to give everyone an overview, previously we've been doing 5 weeks then a deload. For this next kind of 2-block part for this overall phase, it's going to be 4 weeks then a deload, 4 weeks then a deload. The second deload there to mark the end of this phase sits between Christmas and New Year, so sits quite nicely there. The reason as well why we're having a deload a week earlier is because training's starting to get a little bit more intense now. It just means that we need more opportunity to recover, super compensate. So yeah, so that's the overall kind of how it's going to look. Some key focuses for this phase. So first, well, one of the first things is peaking the raw strength, which we've got a CrossFit total planned, haven't we, Jamie?
Yeah, it's coming up. Not next week. The week after.
Yeah. So we've got a bit of a primer after. Well, we've got a back squat session initially after the deload to get stuck into. Again, just for people to kind of feel it out, get a heavy session in before we go into the CrossFit total the week after. So once we've kind of peaked that raw strength, don't worry, squats will still be staying in, but we'll get more specific. So I expect to see more front squats after that CrossFit total going forward. The other thing is, so once we've peaked the raw strength, we'll expect to see going heavier on the weightlifting work. So building up to a max kind of more often on the weightlifting work after doing some percentage work initially maybe, or it could be you build up to a max and then there's some percentages based off what you hit. We'll kind of go into a little bit more detail there in a second. For the gymnastic side of things, we'll continue to kind of just gradually build the capacity still a little bit. You probably won't notice too many changes there though. They'll kind of just be very slight. Obviously, we've got the ring muscle up that's been a focus over the past phase. That will switch from a ring muscle up focus more onto a handstand push-up focus. Again, we'll go into a little bit more detail in that in a second as well. Is there anything I've missed there, Jamie? We mentioned specificity. I can't even say it. Specificity. Please say it for me.
Well, I'll put my teeth in. Specificity. So yeah, we're as our season pans out, and we do now tend to call it a season, even if your members are like your weekend warriors and things like that. We tend to base our training cycle or our yearly cycle around the CrossFit Open, so we know when it is now. The season's kind of all in and set. So as we've come through that single leg phase, the hypertrophy phase, and then into our max strength phase, that specificity with that funnel is starting to get narrower and narrower. So we're starting to get more specific movements that will correlate and carry over. So to kind of give you some teasers, obviously leading into the Christmas and New Year period, we're front squatting. We're going to try and get nice and strong through the front squat. And then when we get into January, the focus will be into more open prep, where we can kind of say your more competitive members will prepare themselves for trying to advance on, or your members that have kind of come in with a New Year goal of maybe trimming some weight off or trying to build their fitness. The programming will be perfectly kind of etched for both of those scenarios. So little sneak peek into, are we talking about 2022 already?
We are talking about
scary. That is scary. Where's the last 3-4 years gone? I just don't know. So yeah, some good things to look for.
Cool. So that gives you guys kind of an overview of what to expect over this phase and kind of going into the next phase as well. So I guess let's get into more the specifics of this actual week coming up, and we can talk a little bit about what the plan is on, the certain elements going forward from there. So like I said before, we've got a back squat session to start off this next phase. 3 reps, pause on the first one. Just going to get people used to getting under some heavy weight again. Give them, again, a rough guide as to what they feel like they're going to be able to hit the week after. Whatever they hit for this heavy 3 this week will probably be a good guide as to what like their initial heavy set would be, or an opener in inverted commas. So again, that will be a really good guide just to kind of get them thinking and start getting them in the mindset of that CrossFit total to come up the week after. Then we've got a straight up good 7-minute AMRAP, CrossFit triplet. Again, toes to bar in there, 15 reps. Again, the kind of focus of having the interference work in there. Again, you got the interference work from the pistols through the hip flexors, and also on the hang power cleans with the grip. So again, just working on that gymnastic capacity. It's 15 reps, which is probably on the higher side for members. But again, we should be able to accumulate some good quality reps and still get a good amount of interference in there as well. Is there anything you want to add on that Monday, Jamie?
Yeah, it's with the squat, get people confident and get people searching for the correct depth. Obviously, whenever there's a challenge or a number in mind, some of your less confident members getting into the bottom of the squat for a couple of reasons. Is it kind of worried about their back? Are they worried about what happens if they fail? So this is kind of your tester session to get all of those teething problems out of the way for your members, for then a big week the following week. And it does coincide Monday to Monday, so they'll have exactly a week between their sessions. The workout on the Monday is kind of taken from the benchmark nasty girls. Kind of whenever I think of pistols, I think of Ben, who does pistols quicker than most people's air squats. This would be an ideal workout for him. It's not that heavy that it smashes him, so he can blast through it. When I'm thinking about it in a class format, I'm thinking about the quality over quantity on the pistols. So if I use myself as an example, I can get pistols done and I can get them done quite quickly, but they wouldn't be necessarily training conducive, i.e. they'll make my knee quite sore, they'll tweak up my back. So when I do this workout, I'll probably move a little bit slower on the pistols just to make sure I move with quality, knowing the following week I've got to try and do quite a heavy squat, and later on in the week I've got to do some more work. So have that in mind with your members. And one of the things to think about is not always the most challenging movement for the member is the most beneficial. It might be a reverse lunge might have a better effect on that member than crashing into the front of their kneecap and their toes on a pistol.
I'm with you there, Jamie. We are Mr. Dorsiflexion mass here, that's for sure.
Yeah, very true.
Great stuff. On to the Tuesday. Like I said before, emphasis on weightlifting is now going more towards those max weights. So we've got a couple of sets first just to kind of dial the movement in, make sure we're moving well before then building up to a max for the complex. Again, as we go through this phase, expect the amount of reps to drop. So what I mean by that is there you've got 3 movements to do. You've got a power snatch, then overhead squat, then a snatch. I expect as we go through this phase for it to drop from a power from 3 movements, maybe down to 2, and then to 1. Okay, so by the final week, it'd probably just be a max power snatch, a max snatch as an example. So that gives you an idea of how that will progress through the phase, and it'll mean that, I've PB'd that complex, start to build that momentum, build that confidence. And then obviously as we just get to the straight up max snatch, we've built all this momentum and confidence, and what do you know, they hit a PB snatch as well as PBs for complexes over the past couple of weeks. For the workout, deadlifts and double unders, again, we want to kind of keep deadlifts in there. We're just going to keep them in this higher volume format, but just make sure that members are not doing those car crash reps and they're keeping as much control on the way down as they are on the way up. Jamie, what are your kind of thoughts on that workout? And then if you want to jump in on the snatch work beforehand, feel free.
Yeah, so with the deadlifts, you're exactly right. Understanding that, I think I already mentioned it about the Monday session, is the difference between training and competing. I know we can kind of, I do it all the time, get caught up in racing the members and pushing each other. Use it as healthy competition. So I'd be encouraging those members to choose a weight that they could get through in maybe 3 sets of deadlifts. But if that was just a 1 set max, they could probably get 30 with that weight. So kind of holding people back on that intensity, so then they can be smooth on their double unders, because there's nothing worse than clanging through 30 deadlifts and then tripping every 15 reps on the double unders because your midline smoked, your shoulders have started to burn because you were hanging on to that bar. So things that I would be going through in their workout would be to just break up those deadlifts, 5 to 10 seconds to take a break and then back in. And then if you get onto the 10 and you feel good, can you hang on to the 10 and the 30? Like Jack's already mentioned on the complex, as they start to get more challenging, the big focus for this complex is to not have to adjust your feet from your power snatch into your overhead squat. We're very common to see a starfish power snatch. So people are searching for that big weight, then they have to adjust their feet in, then overhead squat. Normally by that point, when they come down and then hit their snatch, I'm always it's a 50-50 whether they'll be able to change their mechanics. So you always want to think of that power snatch as just a transferable skill into the full snatch. So for coaches, be looking out for that. Do people have to adjust? Play the game. It's very bougie at the minute, but play Squid Game. If people move their feet unnecessarily, give them don't shoot them, but give them 5 burpees just to remind them. It seems to be working quite well at Blitz at the minute.
Good. Like you say, it just keeps members a little bit more honest, and actually does make them think, oh yeah, I'm not going to go that 1 set too heavy, and like you say, starfish and everything goes to pot. Barbara, on the Wednesday, that is a CrossFit classic, a golden oldie. What were the thoughts when throwing this one in here, Jamie?
So always liking to kind of test benchmarks. So for members that have been around a while, they will have done this. It's probably not the most used of the girls' Cindy variations. You're probably looking at Cindy, then you've got the Chelsea workout and Murph. Whereas this still packs quite a big punch. There's quite a lot of volume in there. And the intensity can be super high because they've got that 3 minutes rest after the 50 air squat. So it's a real race. It's quite a long workout. So from a coaching and logistics perspective, there we go, taking your teeth out there. And you need to be kind of on it to get people into the correct scales early. So we have provided in the notes quite a few different options. So if people just overall intensity, just knock a few reps off of everything. If people kind of struggle with the first 2 movements from a strength point of view, there's an option there to kind of cover less pull-ups, less push-ups, but then the sit-ups and the air squats kind of remain consistent. So it's all about finding something that you can kind of go through. Certainly when I've done Barbara, the first couple of rounds of pull-ups and push-ups are as close to unbroken as you can get. And then towards the end, it's about who's got the best recovery rate to kind of get back to it. So 4.5 minute cap on a round will kind of set the tone for the first one, because sometimes if people bite off more than they can chew and they take 7-8 minutes for round number 1, realistically, they're not going to be able to get the correct stimulus on this. Yeah.
I think, like you said, the key point there is, especially for the first couple of rounds, you should be looking to push for unbroken, especially on them pull-ups and push-ups initially to start. So starting off pretty hot, and then you'll find that when you get to the sit-ups, you kind of can only go at one pace, or it's hard to kind of speed them up. So it kind of caps the intensity a little bit later in the workout before you can kind of pick it up on the squats to finish. But yeah, try and get your members to start out hot and see if they can, how many rounds they can hold on to as they go through them. Then on the Thursday, we've got the threshold work, spicy little EMOM. We got a few cheeky comments the other week about the EMOM you put in previously. I can see now we'll probably get a few more off the back of this one as well. Just straight up simple, raw bar facing burpees, max reps in that time as a guide if you're really looking to push that session, but also maintaining it through the 3 intervals. What are your thoughts on this one, Jamie?
So kind of born off of the one of the original like JST capacity tests, the 20-minute alternating EMOM of the cow row and the burpees over the rower. Kind of, I put the bar facing burpee in because I feel like it's a skill that's worth practicing. So if you're on a recovery day, say you're a bit sore after Barbara, because a lot of people will be, and you want to come in, you want to get moving and get sweating, this is the perfect workout. 40 seconds means you don't necessarily have to work on your number. I know I've been working with one of the other coaches, a guy called Chris, and we've been working on his bar facing burpee because it's one of the ones that if you can get into a rhythm with it, it's certainly one of those movements that you can then start to manage. And when you're in a workout, you know where your pace sits. So this is a good opportunity to do it. The 2 minutes rest is welcomed. So 8 minutes of work, 2 minutes rest allows you to kind of reflect. Do you need to like then push it on? So you can then start the next couple of sets a bit harder, or do you need to go, right, I've bitten off more than I can chew and then back it off. So this workout can kind of be skinned many different ways, depending on how you feel.
And again, just going back to what you said initially, Jamie, about the 20-minute kind of what this kind of reflects back on is back in the day there was 20-minute EMOM. We had a training camp at JST, 20-minute EMOM, 20 cal row minute 1, 20 burpees minute 2. So yeah, in 40 seconds, if you can get 15 and 15, or probably a little bit more on the row, maybe 16, that would be pretty good numbers for on the guys side of things. On the ladies side of things, you're maybe looking more towards 12 and maybe a similar amount of burpees, or maybe again going for 12 and 12 across. That would be a pretty good, pretty tough score to hit. So yeah, but like I say, you want to try and maintain the same numbers throughout the 3 intervals there. On the Friday, we continue the ring and bar muscle up progressions. So we've got an 8-minute EMOM this time. We've obviously built it up. We came back down. We're gradually building the volume up a little bit again. What's the plan going forward here, Jamie?
So we'll hit our 8-minute EMOM, then we'll probably progress for one more. Just get up to 10 minutes, and then we'll look at doing our 5-minute retest. So a long time ago, I think it's even in the notes there, the 30th of August, we did a 5-minute test. We'll retest all of the members, hopefully show either some efficiency, people getting their first reps, or a significant improvement in scores. I can kind of already see it in the Blitz guys that their numbers are significantly higher across their EMOMs. Their confidence in doing the movement is greater. And then we're going to make the switch to focus on the handstand push-up as a skill. Again, specificity-wise, the wall walk's in at the minute. I know the Open didn't have handstand push-ups specifically. It was quite a peculiar year. So we've got to kind of practice the standard of the handstand push-up to make sure you're not practicing super wide, and then all of a sudden the Open comes and then you're trying to point your toes down towards the ground as best you can. So that's going to be our next kind of specific gymnastic EMOM build. Muscle ups won't go away. They'll be integrated into workouts as we've already been doing, and they'll be there to be kind of ticked along. So yeah, handstand push-ups are the way forward.
Excellent. Sounds good. Sounds good. For the workout after, looks like a variation on Helen a little bit.
Yes.
Shorter run, less kettlebell swings, and we got wall walks in there instead. I think we had a similar variation of this a month ago, or around about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Again, notice previously that number of wall walks, I think we had as 3. So we're kind of creeping that up a little bit more now, again, just to test that gymnastics capacity. And they'll probably get a little bit less rest with it being a 200-meter run and kettlebell swings. So again, just increasing that gymnastic volume a little bit, and it'll be one of them where you probably hardly even notice that if we mentioned it there. So those are just kind of the slight tweaks on workouts that we're making, just to, like I say, accumulate more gymnastic volume.
You cracked my code. You cracked the code. Less of the other stuff, more of the other stuff. That's it's there. Yeah. So you're exactly right. The interference is still there, but it's in a smaller chunk to mean that, and a bigger chunk of the actual movement we're trying to progress. So wall walks on their own are a pretty miserable thing. People might actually enjoy the running after the wall walks, which I know normally everyone gives you a bad rap. Whenever there's a 400-meter run or a 200 run, they hate it, but they'll probably appreciate shaking out their arms on this one.
For sure. Cool. On to this Saturday. This one is taken straight from the compete plan. Chip off the old box is the name of this workout. That's one of Steve's dad jokes again. Loves the dad joke. 100 cal row, 100 toes to bar, 100 box step ups. Now, looking at that, I think we can agree the big crutch of the workout will be those toes to bar. So making sure we go for the correct volume of toes to bar will be key for each person. So we've given a time frame on this of 7 minutes, with the option to obviously to reduce the number of reps. If someone's pretty unsure how many reps they should go for, Jamie, have you got an idea as to how you'd, give them a guide, or, how would you?
Yeah, I think if they're completely in the dark in terms of they don't know how their toes to bar are going to manage after 20 or 30 repetitions, I would definitely get them to look at the kind of 5 to 6 minute bracket mark, and then make a decision at 5 minutes on where they are. If they've kind of got to 5 minutes and they're at, say, 55, and they know in the next couple of minutes they could probably get another 10 to 15, then they set their target at that. I think it's just making the member aware that they have to make a good decision, not necessarily one that kind of pushes them on to 10 minutes worth of toes to bar. And a good decision also means they don't just cut themselves super short, like, oh, it's getting hard now, I'm only going to do X. Mm-hmm. So it is one of those ones that coaches will have to do it on the floor, because I certainly know from my experience, toes to bar, I used to have a workout that 75 was probably my limit in the workout before they started to break down. Then it kind of got to 90 to 100. Now it's just a little bit over before the movement kind of gets less than 5 reps. Mm-hmm. So trying to get members to discover what their top capacity is kind of going to be the conversation that the coaches need to have, because hopefully they don't come off the road too hot. If they do, obviously they're going to feel the consequences of it, because the lat engagement and the grip from the row, hopefully people are not going too crazy on it. So yeah.
To give you those members that like to compete, a 5 minute, the 5 minute gymnastic tests we have tested, regularly over the past couple of years. Mine and Steve's score, our top score was 120. And to give you an idea as to how we broke that up, we just did 6 reps every 15 seconds all the way through. And that's 24 a minute. And that, equals 120 in 5 minutes. So like I say, 6 reps every 15 seconds doesn't sound that bad. And it could be, for your members, right, how can I pace this? Can I go 5 every 20 seconds? Do you know what I mean? Short sets, short rest is going to be the key going forward on those toes to bar. It can be so tempting to start off with a big set, but by the time you get to 30, 40 reps, the person that's doing the shorter sets, shorter rest, will begin to kind of catch up and take over those that have started bigger. So that's worth bearing in mind as well. Finally, on to the Sunday. Some bodybuilding work, some tempo work. good for the joints, good for the tendons, good for keeping that intensity a bit lower as well. After a big first week, probably a warm welcome for that tempo work, and great just to kind of focus on which muscles that people are using as well. Again, for the workout, that's going to be, it's core based, and there's some lunges in there, again, just to help get some tension ready for the big CrossFit total the day after. So if people are doing back-to-back days, make them aware, like, don't fully send the workout, kind of just cruise a little bit more, tell them why, and that should hopefully make them understand that if they're doing 30 jumping lunges unbroken, they may feel a little bit sore going into that CrossFit total. So maybe just rein things back in if they are doing the CrossFit total the day after. Anything you want to add, Jamie?
Yeah, you're bang on. That Sunday needs to be kind of looking both sides of it. The days before it, so it probably all kicks in from the Wednesday, where we've got a lot of hang-in, then we've got some kind of active recovery or intensity on the Thursday, then we've got a smaller amount of hang-in for skill work on the Friday, quite a grip intensive Saturday. And then when we come into that Sunday, just making sure that we're kind of restoring good shoulder patterns, getting everything kind of switched on and ready for then the following day. So kind of you can pick out maybe the Thursday and Friday as not being too difficult days, and the Sunday, and then your Wednesday and your Saturday are kind of real high intensity, really pushing them along days.
Yeah, agreed. Again, when you look through the week, get members to pick days that they're really going to, attack. So like me and Jamie said from the start, the Monday is probably going to be a little bit lower intensity on the workout because of the pistols. Again, for the Tuesday, members maybe want to focus more on the actual movement, moving well. Again, that kind of knocks down the intensity a little bit, but you could push that workout a little bit more if you wanted to. Barbara should be pretty intense on the Wednesday. And again, you can take the Thursday how you want. So again, picking and choosing if you want to push the Wednesday a little bit more, or if you want to push the pull-ups and then just take the sting out of it thereafter, just to see what you can do. And then, like we said, Friday, probably a little bit less intense. Wall walk's going to slow things down a little bit. Again, more intense Saturday. But again, in the grand scheme of things, not super intense because of the amount of toes to bar. So you're probably looking at Wednesday, Thursday potentially being the most intense days, and just with how the week's formatted, in the grand scheme of things, the other days can be kind of pick and choose where you want to try and push that a little bit more. So yeah, just keep one eye on that bigger picture on the weekly or bi-weekly view going forward as well. All good?
Wonderful.
Beautiful. Right. We'll see you all next week.
See you later.